What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. Third show of the day for this one, man. But the first show for our guy Joe Dellera, man, from Action Network. You guys know I'm partnered with them, man. We'll be having guys coming on this show all year, man, for the rest of the year from Action Network. But Joe has been absolutely killing it, man. My guy up there in New York, Joe. Tell the people how you been, like where a little bit of your background, all of that, man. For people that's never heard of you.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Joe Dellera. It's pretty easy to find me on Twitter. That's or X, and it's my handle. It's right there in the picture in the video. Normally by day I'm a lawyer, and I spend the rest of my time capping the NBA. So I've been doing this for Action Network since really like right before the bubble, and just been really fun. And I've kind of like hone down my practice basically, and I really focus primarily on player props. It's just one of my favorite things to do. I think it's a nice market, and there's always like an angle. I think in every game, every slate, you can usually find something.
No, that's a fact, man. Sometimes I'll tell you, like I like to bet sides. I'm not really a prop better, and that's even more reason why I want guys like Joe to come on the show, to what I'm saying, to fill in where I'm not so great at. But some I've been noticing lately, like especially with you, some of the better spots are to go with the props, man. Trying to figure out who's gonna win and by how much these days with the injury reports and shit like that, it's really hard. So I can't shout out to guys like you that went to the prop side and are smashing it over there, man. But we're gonna talk plenty of props today. We're gonna go through every single game other than the two 1-800 gambler games. See what I'm saying? The Pistons and Blazers and the Bulls and Grizzlies. Not real ton of interest in those, but pretty much every other game we're gonna try and find something or at least talk it out, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you like the show, if you appreciate the looks, like I said, this is my third show of the day. So hit the like button, man. Subscribe to the channel. Go follow Joe as well on the Action Network app where all the plays are free, and also on Twitter/X as well. It's always gonna be Twitter to me, man. But
Yeah,
let's get straight down. Yeah, man, it's Twitter, man. Come on, I ain't calling this shit on X. All right, let's get straight to it here, man. Let's go to the first game up. We're going to the streets of Indiana in this one. Pacers laying 5.5 points at the house versus the Warriors in this one. Joe, I know you've been making a ton of money going with Kaminga props in this one. We know that it's Clay's birthday as well. Usually teams like to play well. Players like to play well on their birthday, but this is a tough fatigue spot for the Warriors. Back-to-back, third game in 4 nights, fifth game, fourth and 6, and fifth game in 7 nights for the Warriors. Absolute dreadful type of spot in the NBA, especially when it's all on the road here, Joe. How are you looking at this game, my brother?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing to me in this matchup is that Halliburton, it looks like his minutes restriction has kind of been lifted to a degree. Played 29 games or 29 minutes last game, so I think that gives us a little bit more of like a safe floor. You got his points and assist lines at 28.5. I think that's definitely like a look for me in this game. I think the Warriors are definitely a little bit tired. Pacers like to run and gun, and I think that this is a great spot for them, great opportunity to get for them to kind of maybe catch some tired legs against Golden State. On the flip side, though, I really like Steph Curry and his threes prop. So this opened at 3.5, just ridiculous line. And I think it's still you still might be able to find like a juice 3.5, but I think the 4.5 is still fine as well. Look, he actually scores. He's averaging 4.8 threes made per game this season. He's made 5+ in 53% of his games, but he's averaged 5.1 in 8 games where he's had 0 rest. He's like one of the guys that's on the Warriors that's super well conditioned. He kind of always steps up, carries the team. So I know that Indiana forces guys off the 3-point line, like traditionally. That's like kind of one of their things this season. But when they do allow those opportunities, opponents are shooting above league average on those threes. So with a guy like Curry, had a terrible game last night from a scoring perspective in Philly. I think like he's really going to want to bounce back here. So I like him if you want to take 4.5 threes. If you wanted to take the points, I think he's at 27, 27.5, 28.5. I think that either of those are good looks in this game for a guy who's I think he's going to really want to bounce back and put the team on his back in this instance.
That's a really good look there. Halliburton isn't the best of defensive guys. I love Halliburton. Like this guy is really like an MVP candidate in today's NBA. But we got to be real with ourselves. He's not the greatest defender. I mean, it's something he's probably going to have to work on over the offseason, which really playing defense is all about just wanting to. It's just this team is more focused on offense and outscoring teams. So Curry going up against Halliburton, that's an advantage there as well. You see what I'm saying? So especially with that 3.5 threes, with one of the greatest shooters ever, top 3 shooter in the NBA ever, looking for a bounce back spot. So they are fatigued, but Curry, like I said, the guys didn't have to play third. They didn't have to play like 20. I think Curry played like 22, 23 minutes last night. So they didn't have to play over 30 minutes. I could definitely see Curry going crazy from three, especially on a total of 249 and a half. There's going to be plenty of points scored in this game. I know that it's Clay's birthday, but Steph, Joe. So
he was bad.
it's a bounce back spot for Curry here. 3.5 does seem pretty low for his threes. That's a really good look there, and definitely couldn't talk you off the Pacers here as well. You are paying a little bit of a premium to back the Pacers here. The Warriors are playing a lot better, but it's just I would never be looking towards backing a team. Third game in 4 nights, back-to-back 3rd and 4, 4th and 6, 5th and 7 is always a fade spot in the NBA. Odds makers are on this one. Like they've added a few extra points on this one, but I'm only looking towards the Pacers in this game. But I do like that Steph Curry threes, my guy. That one's that's a really sharp look there, in my opinion, there, Joe. That's the main one. What do you think? You think Kuminga's finna start to slow down here a little bit?
I do like him. I'm curious to see, like there's been talks about moving Wiggins, one of those types of moves. I think that, they've kind of been dealing with a number of different injuries. I think Kuminga's been like awesome, right? But at 19 and a half, or like 20 and a half, it's kind of already gotten bumped up a little bit in the scoring department. So, like a week ago when we were on this at first, it was like 17 and a half, 18 and a half. Like, when the guy starts hitting, it's like, it looks like he's hitting the same prop, but it's like the line keeps going up. So I'm like, I try to not stick with the same thing like every game in a row, just because, one of these games, like it's going to be bad, or maybe they go back down to where the books thought they were going to be when they first kind of started that hot run. So I'm a little off of it, but I do like the look. Like I understand why people would like the look or want to put it maybe in like a builder or something like that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. At some point, that shit keeps cashing. The books are gonna put a premium on there. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna keep bumping up. But that's how we like him. Fidel and Joe likes Pacers -5.5, and also Steph Curry over 3.5 or 4.5 threes at plus money. Those are really sharp looks there. Let's go over to the streets of Orlando in this one. Magic land 10.5 points at the house versus the Spurs in this one. Spurs obviously coming in off a back-to-back, but they did have 3 days off before facing the Miami Heat yesterday. Magic first game back at the house after a 5-game road trip. This team is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games, so they have been balling, but this is only the 4th time them laying double digits so far this year. They are 2-1 against the spread so far, laying double digits, but at this stage, like I'm not really sure if I'm in a hurry to take the Spurs here, but I do feel like this could be another Wemby game. Like that's the main thing that we've been seeing. This team has been showcasing Wemby, and for a while he was the dog to win rookie of the year. Now he's the heavy favorite here over Chet Holmgren here. So it's to me, I think it's all about just showcasing Wemby, letting him stat pad here. You see what I'm saying? Me and Joe were kind of talking before the show. Maybe rebounds, assists is a really good look here at 13.5. So he might have 15 rebounds in this game, Joe. Any props in this game, my brother? What do you think about Wemby props tonight?
Dude, I really like Wemby. I've actually been a little surprised though. His scoring's been like surprisingly a touch down over the past couple of games. But on the flip side, he's actually hit his assist prop. It's at 2.5. It's pretty heavily juiced. So I think that there's a way that we can kind of pivot off of that. But he's hit that in 9 of his last 10 games, 8 in a row. He's had 3 or more. So I think that having like that type of high floor allows us to couple it with his rebounds and take that RA spot where there's a little bit of upside from the assists and the rebounds. His RA line is currently at 13.5. Pretty normal standard juice, like -115. So you're not paying too heavy of a price. And he's hit that in 7 of his last 8 games. So I like the spot. I think it's like a relatively tough matchup for him scoring wise, maybe against the Orlando Magic, who do have some size there with, like Wendell Carter Jr., etc. So I like kind of grabbing, I think he can still grab the boards just because there's going to be a lot of misses. Spurs kind of play pretty fast. And I think that he's going to be able to dish just a bit out of the post as well. So he's got great court vision. I like Wemby to go over the 13.5 RA.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really sharp look. Like I said, I mean, he might have 13 rebounds or something. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully they don't limit his minutes too much. But I just really feel like they're showcasing Wemby. He's obviously one of the only true big on the team. Zach Collins really more of a 4, in my opinion. But Joe, I just had a question real quick. So we know that what's Wemby's blocks or like blocks and steals? Because we know he went there for a while, having like he had games where he was getting like 4 and 5 blocks. So I just wonder. I don't think that it'll be at 1.5. What do you think? It's probably at like 2.5 or something like that.
The blocks is at 2.5, but the steals and blocks, which I think is probably a better look for him, is 3.5. He missed it against Miami, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that like Bam they don't run the offense through Bam, you know?
Right.
So like with Miami or with Orlando, you do have a good amount of guys that like to get to the rack and are probably going to want to attack the paint. So I do think that that's a pretty good look too. He's hit that in 8 of his last 10 games. You know, he's averaging 4.3 steals plus blocks over the last 10. So I think if you wanted to take a defensive prop for Wemby, that would be the way to go. I like the combo here, especially with the grading of the way that they score stuff. Like a lot of stuff, it looks like a block and then they'll call it a steal, or we'll think it's a steal and it's a block.
Right.
So because like, you know, like a lot of those low blocks they'll call like steals sometimes. So I definitely think that that's a good angle, and especially against this Orlando Magic team.
That makes perfect sense. And if he get 4 blocks, then it doesn't matter anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Matter.
So whether he just gets 4 steals or 4 blocks or 2 and 2, you don't care how they grade it. I think that's a really good look there, especially with it just being one more to 3.5. So we'd be looking at Wemby over his 3.5 stocks, blocks, and steals, and then over his rebounds and assists. 13.5 is a really good look as well. I mean, they just make a ton of sense to me. I'm a fan of what makes sense, Joe, and those couple of Wemby props there make a ton of sense for me, in my opinion. Here, let's get over here to the streets of New York in this one. Knicks getting 3.5 points at the house versus the Mavs in this one. I'm trying to figure out who's going to play. So Jalen Brunson's banged up. He did injure his ankle last game. The insiders seemed like they were a little surprised the fact that he didn't even leave the game with crutches or in a walking boot. They seemed a little surprised. So I'm not really sure how bad Brunson's injury is, but I mean, they just shipped out a ton of players. They did just get back Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. A really good trade for the Knicks. Yeah. Didn't really have to give up a ton. They got rid of Evan Fournier's ass. They got rid of Malachi Flynn, Archie Diacono, Quinn Grimes is going. So this is a really thin team. We can't forget OG Anunoby is still out. Randall is still out. As well, Mitchell Robinson is still out. So if Jericho Sims comes back in this game, which he had the illness last game, if he comes back and then Jalen Brunson plays, they're going to need those two, because even with those, that's the 8-man roster here tonight. So I think Brunson damn near has to play here, so they're not playing with 7 guys here, Joe. How are you looking at this game? Obviously, they're still kind of holding the props closely vested here, but any thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Hart has been a look, right? He's been hitting his rebounds and assists, 13.5, just like automatic. I think it's a pretty good spot for a double-double. My big thing, honestly, in this game is going to be Miles McBride. I think that regardless of whether Brunson plays, given the fact that they traded Quentin Grimes, you traded Fournier, like you traded all these 3-point shooters, basically, right? Granted, Fournier like hasn't played in forever. But look, if Brunson doesn't play in 2 games without him, McBride averaged 4 threes on 8 attempts. Dude's like a sniper from deep. And even if Brunson does play, I could definitely see, you know, if he's a little hampered, maybe he doesn't play the 40 minutes that Tibbs normally wants to run him out there. Maybe he plays 30. And then McBride, I think, should take a lot of those Quentin Grimes minutes. I could see him easily playing like 20, 25 minutes. And they've been setting his threes line at like 1.5. So I think you can grab that 1.5. I think it's a great spot against a Grizzlies team that's pretty susceptible from 3. And, you know, if Brunson does play, then maybe, you know, you're kind of in a situation where they can really dominate from front to back, or not the Grizzlies, rather the Mavericks. So the Mavericks are a little bit understaffed as well. They made a couple trades. So I definitely could see this being an opportunity for Miles McBride in this spot.
Yeah, no, that's a really good look there. They have to play him. He's really the only wing coming off the bench. You have to look at some Miles McBride props here. Do they, you know how it's kind of hard to find some of these guys off the bench? They have McBride props up already?
Nothing yet. Okay. The only Nick they got up right now is Brunson. So it's like crazy. An impossibility, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing you can do with it. I think like if you're looking for an actual prop that you could play, I mean, Kyrie Irving, right? Like he loves playing in the Garden, loves playing the Knicks, loves playing the Garden. You know, his last 2 games against the Knicks, he scored 44 and 32. So it's definitely, and his line's at 27.5. So given the fact that, you know, maybe they moved a couple guys, they're a little bit thinner as well because of that. Maybe Kyrie Irving kind of wants to ball out in MSG.
Yeah, he does love balling up against these guys. The Mavs always have some against Brunson as well. They'll forever be pissed at him, the fact that he didn't even allow them to like get a contract in or get an offer in or match the contract. He was just like, nope, I'm going. I don't want to play with Luke anymore. I want to have my own team. So, but Brunson might not be 100% in this game, guys. I say that the beat writer sounds super surprised that he didn't leave that game in a walking boot, which tells me that they think that his ankle might actually really be be injured. You know what I'm saying? And the Knicks, we know that the All-Star break is coming up. There's going to be plenty of rest for these guys. The Knicks have been red hot right now, but I do think there might be due to drop a few games. I'd lean towards the Mavs here, even though they won't have Grant Williams out there. The Mavs are slowly but surely trying to figure some things out. But I mean, that Miles McBride prop, Joe, that shit makes a ton of sense there, in my opinion. I mean, look at their bench. This is going to be their bench tonight. Miles McBride, Jericho Sims, Taj Gibson, Charlie Brown, Jacob Toppin, Dwayne Washington. And the last three guys, that's basically guys that they had to call up from the G League there. McBride he might play 30 minutes in this game. If you get some props on McBride, whether it's points, like even if his points is somewhere around 6.5, 7.5, then you got to look at his points and his threes here, Joe. It's a really sharp look. The Knicks they're kind of running out of guys right now, kind of sort of limping to the All-Star break, in my opinion. So that McBride is a really good look there, in my opinion. I would lean towards the Mavs as well, but can't talk you off waiting on Jalen Brunson in that game, Joe. Anything else on this one?
No, that's it for now. It's too tough to gauge right now with like basically injuries coupled with, the fact that there were so many guys traded.
No, that's a fact. Trade deadline is always tough, guys. Speaking of, let's go over to the streets of Brooklyn in this one. Nets getting 7.5 now at the house versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs have been balling. They've won 15 of their last 16 games. I'm talking about smoking everybody. Don't necessarily like the spot for the Cavs. Now, they're not resting anybody so far. They're saying they're not resting Mobley. I think that Garland's not resting as well. So maybe Cavs coming in here with full squad. Nets just traded away Royce O'Neal. They traded away Spencer Dinwiddie as well. So let it out for him, Joe, because I really like this spot here. I kind of teased it on the earlier show, but I really like this spot for Ben Simmons here, Joe.
Dude, I love, give me an excuse to bet on Benjamin. I love it. So look, he's on that minutes limit. You heard his press conference last time. He was like, I want to play. I want to start. Like, he's like, I feel healthy. Like, I should be able to play. His rebounds and assist line is at 12.5. He's hit that literally every single game this season. He's like, granted, a lot of those games were at the beginning of the season. He was playing closer to 30 minutes. Last couple of games, he's hit this in like 11 minutes, like 15 minutes. Like, he's hitting this. Like, it's crazy. It's averaging 17.1 RA. They're going to be without Cam Johnson, who's hurt. They're going to be without Spencer Dinwiddie. They traded Royce O'Neal. Like, they're down dudes. I think they need him to put up a relatively decent performance. Maybe he sees 25 minutes, but look, I think that it's kind of one of those matchups that's good for him. The Cavs, especially, like, they have obviously the elite guard play with Garland and Mitchell, but you do play like kind of close to the basket with Mobley and with Allen. So, if Ben, like, he can cover most of these positions, if he's covering Mobley or something like that, he gets that opportunity for a couple of those rebounds. I think that he should have a pretty good opportunity here to not only rebound but dish as well. And like, I see somebody said double. I don't hate that as a look. You're getting like plus 900, I think, is out there.
Oh,
so,
shit.
Hey. Yeah,
hold on now. I might have to look.
Yeah.
Hey, that's worth a little sprinkle, right? Plus 900 on a double.
Yeah, because the scoring's never there. Like, the scoring is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he might get 10 points tonight, though, man. So they say triple double. Somebody like triple double plus 3,400. You might be going a little far, but plus 900 is good enough. You see what I'm saying? Because he might not be able to get to with this. If he was playing 40 minutes here, he might get to a triple double. So I'm only seeing 8 possible guys, 8-man rotation for the Nets tonight. Dennis Smith Jr., Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton. Then off the bench, Jalen Wilson, Trenton Walford, and Noah Clowney in that one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they almost have to try and bump Simmons up to 30 minutes here. I think that rebounds, assists, 13.5. I think that's the spot there. I think that's the spot. You know what? The double plus 900, with as long as odds those are, if he plays 30 minutes with them having such low depth, they might have to be forced to play him 30 minutes. Yeah. I think that plus 900 is not a bad look, man. But I mean, I'll go with rebounds, assists over 13.5.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, honestly, the thing with Simmons, like, if you bet double, you could still cash if he doesn't score. You get the rebounds, he can get the assists, and have 2 points.
No, it's a fact. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if he hit that triple double tonight, man. He came his first game back, Joe. He had, I think, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, or something. It might have been a little better than that, but last time I looked at it, he was really close to getting it, man. And that was a game where you're supposed to be rusty and not in shape. He's played three games since then. 4th game. I think that double has a real chance to it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but the rebounds, assists, 13.5. I think that shit is cash, man. I think that's cash there, Joe. I think that's a phenomenal look there. I'm telling Nell and Ben Simmons over 13 and a half rebounds, assists. I really like that look, my guys. Let's go over to the streets of Milwaukee in this one. Bucks land a point at the house versus the Minnesota Timberwolves in this one, Joe. How we looking at this game, my brother?
This game, I think, is going to be. I think this game's going to be good. I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. You got two of the best teams in the league, but I lean Minnesota just generally in these spots. Like I think that they've been absolutely elite. And then also, like the Bucks, they traded Brook Lopez's brother, so always like an interesting spot. I do think though that one of the looks. I'm curious to see if Brook Lopez plays or not. Because
he should be back.
I hope, be back. Yeah, I think he's back, and I think he just had a kid, so he got the dad strength, but he's been awesome shooting threes against the Bucks, like against the Timberwolves rather, and like that type of two big lineup with Rudy Gobert. So I'm curious to see if he plays there, just for that type of angle. And then also like if he doesn't play, I'd be looking at a Giannis rebounds under. I think it's a brutal matchup for him against a guy like Gobert. Even Towns kind of gets involved there. This line's set at 11.5. He had 14 against them earlier in the season, or like really, I guess last time they played was 2022. The last time he played them anyway was 2022. So last season. But I do think that the line at 11.5, it's been one of those spots that you would think that Giannis hits, like you say, like 11.5, like he's going to hit that. I think it's just a really brutal matchup for him. I would go under the 11.5, but I would just wait just because if Lopez is out, this line will probably go up, and then you can maybe grab like an under 12.5, which obviously would be a little bit more valuable.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute fact. That's a really good look there, in my opinion. It makes perfect sense. The fact that, obviously, I mean, Giannis has basically said that these guys are kind of running out of gas, as well. So Brook Lopez should be back. Obviously, he's probably been in Milwaukee the whole time, Joe. It's crazy because they were listening to him as questionable. It's like, bro, he's in Milwaukee with his wife having a baby, man. You know what I'm saying? So he's should be playing. Yeah, he should be playing in this game. I wouldn't even wait for that. I think I think he comes back in this one. So this is how it is. Sometimes, like when you think a player is playing and you know that the props are out, like obviously if that player comes in, that's going to mess with everybody else's props. So if you kind of can get ahead of that, so if you do like something with, because like, right, if Giannis rebounds prop might change if Brook Lopez is ruled in, right? Joe? Yeah. So I mean, we're fully expecting him to be in. I wouldn't necessarily wait on him to be announced in, because then you're going to lose some value.
That's for sure. And I feel like Ant could definitely have a big game here. Like Milwaukee's been a sieve defensively to, lead guards. So his points prop set at 27.5. I definitely think that he's somebody that could absolutely go off here.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I lean the Wolves here as well. First off, the Bucks just traded, they did trade Pat Bev with Pat Bev looking like, oh, hold on, I'm with Dame now. Oh shit, we got to play buddy now. I'm on the same team, but we know them two go way back. So I thought that was funny as hell. But Pat Bev won't be there tonight. They did just trade away Campaign, which means he won't be playing tonight. Guys, he's their backup point guard. So first off, Lillard's questionable. Now, if you like the Wolves, you might want to wait, because I don't really see how Lillard's going to sit. Now, if he sits out, I'll tell you this, like I have to take the Wolves in this spot, but I think Lillard will play. He's really the only point guard on the team, man. Yeah. After that, you got Marjon Beauchamp, who's really, I mean, he's really not a point guard. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, they got Jackson as well. This team doesn't really have a pure point guard after Lillard, and honestly, I don't really think Pat Bev is going to be the answer to that as well. But they got AJ Green, and then you got Andre Jackson, maybe. Beauchamp, he's really a shooting guard, but I mean, I'm not trusting either one of those guys. I think that this could possibly be a Wolves spot here. I know that the Bucks have been losing and they're trying to stack up some wins, but we know when a big change happens to a team, like a new coach or something like that, there's going to get worse before it gets better. Like it's going to take some time to get used to Doc Rivers over there. They really hadn't been practicing. They probably didn't practice yesterday as well. According to Giannis, he was saying that they're going to play in Phoenix and stay the night and then fly back to Milwaukee, which means they didn't have any time to practice. You see what I'm saying? So basically what Giannis, if you guys didn't check out the night show last night, I did a little Giannis little impression, man. Him talking, you know what I'm saying, about what's going to happen. But he was just saying, like, once they start getting some days off, that's when you'll see the Bucks be more like themselves. This might be a tough matchup here going up against the Wolves that's coming off a game where they blew a 23-point lead coming off an overtime game. Wolves might be pissed in this one, my guys. I'd heavily lean towards the Wolves, but you want to wait to see if Dame is in. If Dame is in, you'll probably get like a +3 with the Wolves. But I think the Bucks might be up against it. They don't have Chris Middleton to handle the ball tonight, so it's Giannis seems like he's kind of running out of gas. Dame Lillard, even if he plays, probably not going to be 100%. So this is going to be a tough game. I do lean to the Wolves in this. I don't really have a ton of prop looks here, but that's a really good point with Giannis under his rebounds, because fully expect Brook Lopez to be back in this game, in this one,
For
Joe.
sure. For sure.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the point that you made too about like some of the point guard play, it could be like an opportunity. Like if you did want to back Giannis, you're kind of trying to thread a needle though. Like if you want to bet him triple double, but like he's at 7.5 assists, which is real high. But
Right.
at the same time, like you said, he's comfortable facilitating. If you wanted to buy in now, like maybe if Dame is out, then like they really got to run this offense through him. But it's just more of like a lean for me or like an angle. But I don't think I don't know if I'd play it, but it's definitely something, if you were like, I'm looking for this, then it wouldn't be a bad look. He's hit it in 6 of his last 10 games.
Yeah, no, that's a great point there, man. Guy Golden Eagle says they're limping to the All-Star break. Now, that's a fact right there, man. They need that break. They need the practice time. No, that's a great point there as well. It's also first game back at the house after a 5-game road trip. I don't really like this spot for the Bucks here. I think they're gonna. I think after All-Star break, that's when they're gonna start to pick up steam. Until then, I'm only looking towards fading them. In this one, too many guys are dropping over there. Let's go over here to the streets of Phoenix in this one. Suns land 6.5 points at the house versus the Utah Jazz. Jazz just traded away some guys. The Suns have a couple of major names. 2 of their big 3 is on the injury report as questionable. Devin Booker popped up on the injury report, questionable with a hip injury, and then Bradley Beal's on there with a sore ankle as well. There, Joe, how are you looking at this game, my brother? Any props you like in here?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that when we look at the way this kind of matchup is shaken out, the Jazz traded Kelly Olynyk. So I think we're going to probably see a little bit more Walker Kessler. I think it's a pretty bad game for Nurkic just from a scoring perspective. He's not like I don't think he's like really the greatest scorer. His points line is set at 14.5. He's hit this in a number of games head to head against Utah, but I think that, the matchup against John Collins potentially, or, against a little bit more of Walker Kessler, I really don't love that spot for him. And I think that, the line is a little bit inflated given the injury news like right now circling around Booker and Beal. You figure maybe one of them plays, like if not both. And even then, like Nurkic is just not somebody that's going to go out there and really score like 20 points a game. It's just not really in his nature or what the Phoenix Suns are really trying to do. I do think that Lauri Markkanen could have a good game. His points line set at 23.5. If Phoenix is down a couple guys, then, like they're obviously going to be a little bit more thin. Kevin Durant would, I guess, be like the guy who's probably lined up against him. But I do think that, if there is no Book, there is no Beal, then it kind of puts Durant in a little bit more of a precarious situation defensively. Like he's not going to want to be putting himself out there picking up fouls, because like if he's out, then like the Suns are cooked. They're totally cooked. So I think that, maybe that kind of creates a little bit more of like a lax defensive effort from him if we see Beal and Booker out. And then I think that that's like the pivot. Instead of saying like, all right, like let me go bet on Durant points, it's like, well, how is that going to impact his defense? And I think that would help out a guy like Lauri Markkanen, who he would probably have to be matched up on. So 23.5 points, I think is a pretty good look. He's averaging 23.8 on the season. And he's gone over this a couple games against the Suns as well. So in his most recent game, he had 38. So I do think it's kind of an interesting angle.
Yeah, that's a really good look there, as well, man. I just feel like the Suns might be looking ahead to the Warriors game. Maybe that's why Beal and Booker. Now, I don't think that both of them will sit, because when I saw Beal on there and then I saw Booker, I'm like, damn, is this just some injury report manipulation or something? Because sometimes they just throw these guys on the injury report and then they end up playing. It's like, oh, okay, the line moves for them being questionable for no reason. You see what I'm saying? So, honestly, if you're looking towards props for the Suns, you probably got to wait for that to settle and see exactly who's playing. But it's definitely a good matchup for Lauri Markkanen. He likes to play on the perimeter. He can go inside or outside, and and he's like a cornerstone piece for the Jazz as well. He's been balling out, so definitely can't talk you off looking at some Lauri Markkanen props in this one. Let's go to the last game in this one, Joe. Let's go over to the streets of LA in this one. Lakers getting 3.5 at the house versus the Denver Nuggets in this one, Joe. You have a really good rebound prop for us in this one. What do you like in here, my guy?
Yeah, I like Nikola Jokic over 11.5 rebounds. I think you could potentially grab 12.5 12.5 if that's what's out there, if that's plus money on whatever book you're kind of using. But look, in the last game that he played against the Lakers earlier this season, 27 rebound chances, grabbed 13 of them. So he's averaging 12.3 rebounds per game on 19.8 chances. But I think that in this particular matchup, AD kind of keeps him a little bit closer to the paint. And that's the Lakers don't mind putting different guys on him when Jokic is on offense. So we saw this in the playoffs. They'll like throw a little bit of Rui at him. They'll throw some of their other wings at him. They'll put LeBron on him. And I think that kind of creates like an advantageous situation for Jokic in terms of rebounding the basketball on the offensive side of the ball. But then on defense, obviously, Anthony Davis, good rebounder. But I do think that there's a lot of opportunities where AD kind of gets drawn out because like he's also used to stretch the floor to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is a good opportunity for Jokic. Very well rested. He hasn't played since Sunday. The Lakers also haven't played since Monday. So I think that we might actually see a lot of these guys play in what is like a fairly meaningful game. Like the Denver Nuggets are trying to win. The top 4 seeds in the West are so close. Lakers also, trying to keep themselves and their playoff hopes alive. So I do think this is a good opportunity. And the Lakers have in the last like 10 days, they gave up 15 to Hartenstein, 12 to Capella, 12 to Sengun. So that's just in a week and a half. And they haven't played since Monday. So just a couple of those looks. I think that Jokic should really kind of crush on the boards here. I think it's a good matchup. And we've seen what Denver has done on Anthony Davis. They've thrown Aaron Gordon on him a little bit, and Aaron Gordon's a dog. Like he'll box you out and like he'll give that rebound to a guy like Jokic. Like he's not worried about the counting stats. So I do think that that's another opportunity or another way for Jokic to kind of get some boards.
Yeah, no, it's a really good look right there. It's definitely a good matchup. I mean, looking at Jokic rebounds damn near every game, it's not going to be a bad look as well. So you just hope that he doesn't get in foul trouble. Anton likes Jokic over 0.5 threes. That might not be a bad look as well.
Can't talk you off that one. I mean, he's hit it. He's got it in 7 of his last 10 or 7 of his last 9 against the Lakers. So
I wonder what that over and a half is. Probably juice, right? To like minus
180. Minus 180.
Oh my God. Hell no. I'm not playing no props at minus 180. I'd rather play the 1.5 at plus money before I lay minus 180. You see what I'm saying? But I want to ask you, what do you think about Anthony Davis maybe blocks versus steals in this one? He's been like a defensive player of the year candidate. I think that he might have obviously added motivation in this game. What do you think about maybe some Anthony Davis props in this one? Maybe Anton likes possibly his points as well. It's not a bad look, but I feel like this could be one for a stocks type of game for AD. What's his line there, Joe?
So his blocks is only at 1.5. His stocks is at 2.5. He's actually got about a similar hit rate on both of these throughout the course of the season. He's had at least 2 stocks in every game that he's played against the Denver Nuggets over the last couple of seasons. So it's definitely a look where it's a pretty high floor. I think I might try to you could maybe use that in like an Anthony Davis parlay if you wanted to, and maybe take like a 2 type of thing. The other thing, like I know FanDuel's been opening up. They have that market. It's like 5x1. It's like 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. That might be a better way to play it instead of the stocks. Cause it's like, look, like I know that you kind of introduce a little bit more variance when you have to say like, all right, I need 1 steal and 1 block. But Anthony Davis, he facilitates enough. So he's going to get the first 3 categories. You're going to get at least he's going to score 1 point. He's going to get a board. He's going to get an assist. So it's like, if you think that he's going to have a decent game defensively, I don't hate, kind of trying to separate it out and say like, all right, he's going to get 1 steal and 1 block. I think from a scoring perspective, Denver's kind of handled him pretty well lately. He's only gone over this in 2 of his last 8 games against Denver. He's averaging 22.4 points per game against Denver. So I'd probably lean away from the points, but I don't hate like a look at a steals and blocks or, that like 5x1 type of prop that they got at FanDuel.
Yeah, no, all of those make a ton of sense. The Jokic rebounds, the 5x1 for AD. I'd still lean his points as well, though. I do think this is not the same type of game like as a regular game. I do think it's a little bit added motivation with this being the Kobe statue unveiling and all that. So I'm on the Lakers here. That's my top spot of the day. But this is a prop show. People that watch my show, you already knew that I was on the Lakers as well, man. So, but it's time to get out of here, man. We've been on here for 34 minutes. Let's recap the looks in this one, Joe. Let the people know first. let them know where they can find you at, which we know you have your Twitter handle right there. But also, guys, go download the Action Network app, man. I don't see why you wouldn't go download the Action Network app. There's a ton of tools over there that can help you with your capping, where there's projections. I mean, if you want to look at like sharp signals, money percentages, you can look at projections for props, for totals, sides, whatever, man. They got Super Bowl content over there. We're doing Buckets podcast over there. I just don't see why you wouldn't have Action Network in your arsenal. It's free to download. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of great info on that app. Joe's over there. I'm on there. Go download the Action Network app and follow Joe on Twitter as well, Joe. But let the people know what else they can find you on and recap your picks for us today, please.
All right. Yeah. So you can get me on Twitter. You can get me at Joe Dellera. That's Dellera. You can get me in the Action app. Same type of thing. All the links are in my bio. You also can catch me on Buckets. Sometimes I'm with Jay. Sometimes I'm with some other guys like Jim Turvey, Matt Moore, etc. But then I also have my own podcast. It's called the Cash That Podcast. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast. So you can get the link at my Twitter as well. That's probably the easiest way to find it. But for some of my plays today, my favorite ones, I love this Ben Simmons over 12.5 rebounds plus assists. I got the Jokic rebounds prop, 11.5 rebounds. Steph Curry over 3.5 or 4.5 threes. I think that Victor Wembanyama, the rebounds and assists prop is definitely a look. And, I think 100% I'm going to be looking at that Knicks game, and I'm going to be wanting to take Miles McBride over whatever his threes line is, honestly. Like, I think his opportunity is going to be exponential in this game, given the Brunson injury, given all the trades. It's 100% a look that I want to take. So I'm definitely going to be looking at Miles McBride props today.
Yeah, no, that's some great looks there, man. That shit, that all sounds good to me, Joe. I'm definitely riding with Joe tonight. My guy's been absolutely killing it, man. Been smashing it. Go check him out over there on the Action Network app. And for me, yeah, I couldn't talk you off the Curry threes prop there as well. But my favorite prop of the day would be Ben Simmons over his rebounds, assists, over his 13.5. Or they even saying that you can get it at Caesars for 12.5. But even the 13.5 for rebounds and assists for Ben Simmons is a really good look. I also think the rebounds and assists for Wemby is a really good look as well. Also, his blocks plus steals at 3.5, I also think is a really good look as well. The Joe's kind of talked me into that Miles McBride props. It makes a ton of sense. He's going to have to play a ton of minutes. He's getting up to 3-pointers. They're going to need his scoring output tonight. That don't pop that shit, man. Drop that. Stop being scared, man. The books are scared of McBride tonight, my guys. But that's about it. And I wouldn't argue off either LeBron or AD's points. I do think one of those guys are going off, but also AD over his blocks and steals is a really good look as well, man. But and Joe likes it's a really good look as well for that Jokic on the rebounds, man. But great show, man. Great prop show with my guy Joe. Hopefully we can do more of these at least one day a week. I believe Prop Bum hit me up. He wants to come on the show next as well, man. So let's get these Action Network guys in here, man. More exposure. Make sure you go follow them on the Action Network app and follow them on Twitter as well, man. We're gonna be doing plenty of more content for the rest of the NBA season, playoffs, all that. We all trying to get the cash here, man. It's us against the bookies. Let's get this cash, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you really do like the show, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, man. Go follow us on Twitter, Action Network app, and I hope everybody has a great day, my guys. We're out. Let's cash, baby.